Hello, and welcome to another episode of Breadcast Gaming Talk. Sometime earlier this year, I decided to get a game because it was on sale, which I do often. I know that I had a very bad experience the last time I attempted to play a Warhammer game that was a strategy game, which was Warhammer 40k Mechanicus. However, I was not about to give up because I want to try to understand these strategy games. So this time, I picked up Total War Warhammer II, the game that I was definitely not prepared for. Before I get into it, I do want to say I apologize that the gameplay going on in this video is of Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr, because by the time I decided that I wanted to make a video on Warhammer 2, I already uninstalled it, and I wasn't going to be reinstalling it just to capture footage for a video. So what you see is what you get. Anyway, the Total War series has several games to its name, spanning from different historical periods, and then of course we have their games based on Warhammer Fantasy. I had never played one of these before trying Warhammer 2, but I figured that Warhammer 2 would be the best jumping on point since a lot of people love the game. I mean, it's got terrific review scores. When I started at this time, I chose the Dark Elves because their leader guy looked the coolest, and from there, I was thrown into the campaign map. At this time, I must have skipped the tutorials because right from the start, I was having a lot of issues. I'd go into a battle, and my troops would either get tired, run off in random directions, or both, and I was just confused because I had no idea why this was happening, and I was frustrated that I had zero guidance as to how I could have stopped this or prevented this. Things on the campaign map were not all that much better. Sure, I was making treaties, upgrading my city and all that, but again, I felt like I was missing something that there was no guidance of having. There'd be times when the game would tell me that an opposing ritual was started by an unknown faction, and I'm like, okay, so what exactly does that mean, and why exactly should I care? I know that's not the mentality I should have, but my thinking is that if I can't do anything about it, then why are you telling me about it? In more confusing and frustrating battles later, I decided to give up on the game. Truthfully, I wanted to get a refund for the game at that time, but at the point I had just over 2 hours in the game, and I knew that Steam wouldn't make an exception for me with their refund policy. Then we go to about a week ago when, after a friend convinced me, I decided to return to Total War Warhammer 2. This time around, I told myself things are going to be different, but that is not exactly what happened. Rather than picking up where I left off on my Dark Elf campaign, I decided to start a whole new campaign, and this time I picked the High Elves because they seemed like the easier faction. This time I go through the battle tutorial, which was extremely helpful because now I knew how to battle a little bit better. That really didn't matter though, because not once in this campaign did I battle manually. The only times I did a battle, I would just auto-resolve because I had the better chance of winning. This campaign also, I had 2 lords on the map, as well as 2 heroes. However, I was having some confusion with the heroes, because one would go into the city and steal their technology, and the other would go in there and spread influence. And I didn't really see what the point was. What was I gaining? Plus, I couldn't use my heroes in a battle with the armies that accompanied my lords as far as I knew, so what really is the point here? But hey, I just kept upgrading them. My lords, my city, whatever. I got about 130 or so turns into this campaign before I hit the confusion wall. It was basically everything before that I just said, and of course the entire ritual thing happened twice in the campaign that I still don't know why you're telling me about these rituals happening if the faction is unknown and I can't do anything to stop them. The most confusing thing of all is when something would happen on the map really far away from me, and I just have to question, why is this important for me to know that it's happening when I cannot get over there to deal with it? Another thing would be how there's some blade of corn on the map, and it would change ownership or not be owned at all, and it would be if you get this, that would be fantastic, and I just didn't get what that had to do with me or what good it would do for me having this sword, because the game doesn't tell me why it matters. Ultimately, I just kept getting confused the more I played with what my end goal would be and how I could work towards that. It's probably a silly thing to be confused about, but I just didn't get it. Am I supposed to conquer everyone? Am I supposed to make friends through treaties with everyone? What am I supposed to do that puts me on the path to finishing this campaign? Now look, I'm no stranger to long games. I'm not. I love long games, but I'm just doing my thing here, and it's just kind of like, okay, so does this get me towards the end of the campaign? Does doing this do it? Like, on top of that, I feel like the game doesn't want me to battle, because unless it was an easy win for me, I would be so outnumbered that I would lose all of my troops and my lord, and then my lord would have to wait for a couple turns before it could go back into action. And that was just kind of stupid to me. If I had to sum up what I really think about Total War Warhammer 2, I would say that the game throws a lot at the player with little to no explanation as to what, or more importantly, why things are happening without any outside research being involved. I also believe that perhaps I just don't have the mental capabilities for this complex of a strategy game, and I know I'm probably going to get 100 comments saying, it's not that complex, X and Y game is more difficult than this. I've done all the campaigns for all the factions and races. This is me. I am not you. Please remember that. Perhaps I would do better at something like Warhammer 40k Battle Sector, which is solely a turn-based strategy game without all this city managing and all that added to it. I still would like to not give up on my quest to find more Warhammer-based strategy games that I can actually have fun playing and not be confused and frustrated all the time like I was with Total War Warhammer 2. I can definitely say that I am not going to be returning to that game for the foreseeable future because, as with Mechanicus, it's just not the game for me, and I feel like I gave Total War Warhammer 2 a fair enough shot, and I tried as much of it as I could. That's all I have to say, so if you like what you see in here, feel free to subscribe. If you want to add to the conversation, leave a comment below. As always, thanks for listening, and goodbye.